Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the third in a series of webinars on a new teacher induction and teacher development in 2025. We're all very excited to have you here. We hope that you will find this session fruitful, and we're also looking forward to listening to our very knowledgeable speakers. Now, my name is Derek Swart. I'm not going to bore you with very lengthy CVs. Suffice it to say that I retired at the end of last year as headmaster of Paul Boys High, during which time I also received the Kader Ashmal Lifetime Achievement Award. And I have a number of qualifications, among others, master's degree on the drama and African languages. But I think for me, the two most important ones were the LLB that I completed a while back, and of course, one of my major subjects, which was occupational psychology. I would also like to invite you afterwards or whenever you want to ask me any sort of question on management and structure in education, as well as the legal aspect, although I'm not a practicing solicitor, to feel free to do so. So just before we continue with our speakers, I must say that I also have a passion for our topic this afternoon, in other words, sustaining the spark, developing and of course celebrating our teachers all year round. So our house rules are the following. The session will be recorded and will be available, I think, around about tomorrow on YouTube. Your microphones and your cameras will be off for the duration of the session. So therefore, if there are any questions that you wish to ask, you can just go to your Q&A box at the bottom of your screen. We have a team of people who are more than able and willing to answer your questions, and they will do so either directly or afterwards during the Q&A session. Also note that you have to fill in your survey questions afterwards, because it's based on that we will compile your SACE points. So on to our first speaker, a gentleman who can certainly hold his tune when it comes to education. More than 30 years of inspiring colleagues and learners alike as a mathematics teacher, also as a national examiner, and presently a senior specialist, education specialist in mathematics literacy, and also a celebrated teacher and an awarded teacher, and is presently focusing on mentoring and inspiring a new generation of teachers. The name of this gentleman is Sean Chun. Sean, so great to have you here all the way from Gauteng, and we're looking forward to hear what you have to say, and over to you.
Thank you very much, Derek, for that wonderful introduction. Good afternoon, everybody. Like Derek said, I'm Sean Chun, and I'll be taking you through my experience over the last 30 years and how I've kept the spark. Slide. My journey started way back in 1996. So in my first 5 years, I've moved between three schools, right? So as a new educator coming out of college, and you are equipped with your degree or with your diploma, you feel that you're going to change the world. And I was ready in 1996, January, to change the world. And as I have arrived at the school, I've realized it was not as easy as what I thought. So in my first 5 years, I moved between three schools. So my three schools are basically primary schools, secondary school, township in inverted commas, Model C schools. So I needed to survive in the school. I needed to keep the spark and I needed to find the spark in this new environment I'm in. So first things first, what I've done, I've observed and learned from the successful teachers across the three schools. So the first thing that I learned was I needed to get my classroom management right because I was lacking in that. And then I had to get my discipline right. So across the three schools, I followed the teachers who were the best disciplinarians in the context which I would find myself in. And I'll share one with you is that in one of the schools, I found a teacher that could discipline just by looking at you. Even if I see her today after 30 years and I speak to the teacher, I do not do eye contact because I'm still afraid of that look that she has given me. And that look assisted me quite a lot over my 30 years, is a look which I've learned to perfect. So when learners see that look, they immediately start behaving. And that's how I started with my discipline. Then the other thing that is quite is my self-reflection. I always reflected on my practice, whether it was once a day, once a week, twice a week, recorded it in my notes, reflect on my practice and see what have I done well and where can I change. So implementing consistent, effective discipline and foster in a learning environment. And then I needed help. Slide, please. I needed help. So my principal of my first primary school said to me, "You're going to a secondary school. I would like to send you to a discipline workshop." So when I went to my discipline workshop, the practices that I've learned, I went to a discipline workshop. It was called then Discipline Without Stress. The person that helped us was Derek Jackson, and that assisted me quite a lot. So slide. So in this book of Discipline Without Stress, I've learned quite a lot how to discipline learners. And the one thing that's for sure, which I can share with you, is that when a classroom comes in and I give an instruction to a learner, and whatever instruction I give, I have to face the learner, I have to know his name or her name, and I will say, "John, can you come to me now, please?" There's no confusion with the name, there's no confusion with the time, and there's no confusion with the instruction. And what is always said to us in my improvement is that when learners greet you and they need to sit, as soon as the move and the chairs move, you do not give an instruction. You have to wait for the class to be quiet because when you give an instruction, chairs are moving, learners are sitting, they don't listen and they can't get the instruction. So that's where I identified my strengths in my strengths areas, and that's how I improved my instruction given in class and those type of things. Then I had to adjust my practice with a different type of learner that came through. So the learners I disciplined in 1996 was a total different learner, which I have disciplined in 2018. So I had to adjust my practice, my discipline practice as we continue. So later on, I've learned, slide, that when you discipline, I've disciplined without opening my mouth to say be quiet. Learners would know when I walk in, there must be order. And in this order, there is space for humanity. You must discipline in such a way that you still maintain your dignity and the child's dignity. And these are the strategies that work for me. So the respect in the learning environment, all of us are respected, and then we work within that context. I'm still teaching. I'm a senior education specialist for mathematical literacy in Joburg South, but I spend most of my time in the classroom as well. When I visit the school, I make sure I'm in the classroom and I observe what my learners are doing. Then, of course, my student engagement. When we go to a question and answer session or displaying your responses or answers on the board, there is a respect in class. We respect everybody's answers. Nobody would what's them. So we have one of those rules in class is that let us go and respect one another's answers, and then we have a space in order to move. So the effective discipline strategies, which I am sharing with you, is that discipline must not be degrading to our learners. It must not be in a space where when I give an instruction to a child or when I speak to a child, I will always maintain, I will not say something to a child which I cannot repeat in front of the parent. Slide. And that is the key and the core of what I'm doing. Then, of course, over my years, my son, Rory, he was in and out of a workspace. So what we have done, um, he's also an educator today, and I've helped him on his journey in order to get a spark for education. He studied BCom industrial psychology. He worked with people, he did the training. Long story short, on his days when he wasn't working, he came to me and he helped me with the ICT support within my district and within my 70 schools. So he was trained in setting and maintaining the school's tech, smart boards, and so on. So the task that he had to do, he had to install software. We train teachers with ICT, hybrid training, all those type of things. And then, of course, the impact that I have. And afterwards, he went and he did his PGSE. And after his PGSE, he started teaching within his school. So he was teaching mathematical literacy and grade 9 mathematics. So the journey I shared with him, how we're going to discipline. And once we do the discipline, and how do we do our prep and so on. So one of the things that is quite strong in was I showed him how to teach and how to do his lessons online. How he does his lessons online, sorry about that. And then we had a demo teaching lesson with our, our demo teaching lesson. We ran with our grade 9s, and we've used, not Zoom like today, we've used Microsoft Teams. And then we've taught him to do that. He actually enjoyed it and he loved it. And now he's teaching, slide. So now he was used to teaching online, English as a foreign language. And he left abroad for in the last month. So the shift he has to do now is to move from face-to-face teaching into a class where he's got 2 to 12-year-old. And I'm still with him in contact. I speak to him 2 hours a day. And in order to win, he needs to win the discipline in the classroom management as we continue. Slide, please. Put back, yeah, thanks. Oh, sorry about that. Yes, so what happens in this class is that now he must start singing to 2 to 6-year-olds. It's in a different environment. He speaks to these learners. He speaks to me on a daily basis, and we reflect on his practice every day. So I'm going to leave you with the following, and I'm going to end my my session and my 15-minute talk with the following. When I started teaching, an old teacher was my 4th year of college. He asked me and said, "Do you want to become a teacher?" I said, "Yes." He said to me, "Do you want to stay long in teaching?" I said, "Yes." I said, "Yes." He said, "Then do 2 things for me, just 2 things. Number 1, leave the principal's daughters alone. And number 2, do not touch the money of the school. Then you can teach for life." And if I go to South African policy, the amended SA Schools Act, in corporal punishment, section 17, it spells out that exactly. Thank you very much for listening to me. And thank you very much, Derek. Slide.
Sean, thank you so much for that. It was extremely insightful, and I really liked a number of the things that you said there, which I shall comment on later. But for now, thank you very much. Okay, so let's move on to our next speaker. It is the, I think, well-known Dr. Livelani Signosi. Now, she's a circuit manager there in the Luvuvu, that's a circuit in the Vhembe West District, if I'm not mistaken, there in Limpopo. Now, she is also a former principal and a very passionate principal. She was too always focused, you could see, always focused on school improvement. And she also did a lot for the, or advocation for female leadership in education. And she's recognized these days as one of the foremost speakers, as a matter of fact, on quality teaching and learner success. She was also in 2020 the winner of the African Union's Teacher Award. And interestingly enough, and I don't think many people are aware of this, she used almost all her prize money to buy school uniforms for the kids and other items that they could use in the school there. So, Dr. Senyosi, very welcome. It's an absolute honor to have you here, and we're looking forward to what you have to say to us. And over to you.
Thank you very much, and good afternoon. I know the host is going to switch on my camera because I cannot do it from my side. I was trying to open it, and because the host disabled it, I cannot do it. Can you please assist me? Okay, thank you very much. Good afternoon. Can we start with the slides? Good afternoon, everyone, and really it's a pleasure to be with you this afternoon. Let me start by saying that you are making history by being with us today, listening to us, looking at us, because one day you will say, it started by that induction, that teacher development assisted me a lot. Colleagues, I'm welcoming you to this teaching profession. And they say teaching is a noble profession. And I'm saying, indeed, it is a noble profession because the teachers are the backbone of education, and you are the backbone of education. Teaching is both dynamic, but also demanding at the same time. Yet it offers the deep satisfaction of making a real difference in the lives of learners and in shaping the future, because you are the ones who will shape the future of these learners. The truth is, the teachers carry not only intellectual responsibilities, but also emotional and social ones. Colleagues, teaching is not just a job. It is truly a calling. This simply means that you must be dedicated to wake up to assist these learners. And as teachers, you must know that you are nation builders. And you must know that you are supposed to shape the knowledge, but also the character of the future generation. And that will be your responsibility. There is something that is very much important to you teachers. You must know that each and every word you speak, every lesson that you teach, and every gesture you make leaves a permanent mark on the lives of our learners. This is the reason why if you make a wrong pronunciation, the learners that you are teach, they are going to do that for the rest of their life. You are very much important. Next. You're very much important. But there are things that are expected of you because you are very much important. The first thing that is very much important, you must be committed. And you know what? You are not supposed to be committed to each and everything, but committed to excellence. You must strive to do your best and inspire learners in whatever you will be doing. Just ask yourself, am I inspiring the learners? Because this is what we are expecting from you. And another thing that is very much important is the issue of professionalism, integrity. Colleagues, make sure that you become professional in whatever you do, whether you are at school, you are in the corridors, you are outside in the shopping center. Professionalism is very much important. Build trust and credibility through conduct and interactions. Another thing that is important, because you are supposed to teach these learners and they must learn, you must be a lifelong learner. You must stay curious, adaptable, and open to growth. In other words, make it a point that you read your books, you enroll. Because if you don't do that, we cannot talk about lifelong learning. Protect your well-being and sustain motivation and energy for teaching, because that is very much important. They say healthy teachers create motivated learners, and I also believe in that. If you are a healthy teacher, there is no way that you cannot create motivated learners. Wellness impacts classroom success. This job is tiring. It's interesting, but tiring. Then you must prevent burnout and absenteeism by maintaining the resilience and presence. And if we are talking about the burnout, come up with things that will make you not to be tired. Because if you become tired, even the listeners are going to be tired. Next. Then make it a point that teaching is a continuous learning process, like I said before, and be willing to solve all the challenges. You know what? When you are a teacher, it's like you'll be a teacher, you'll be a social worker, you'll be a judge. Then make it a point that you try by all means to solve all the challenges of the learners, because they expect you to have all the answers. And believe me, because I'm from there, I know that you'll give them correct answers. All the challenges you'll solve. Foster positive relationship with your learners, colleagues, and the broader school community. When you are a teacher, you're going to meet learners, you're going to meet the parents of the learners, you're going to meet the social workers, the police. Then what is important is the positive relationship with all the people that are there. And you must stay organized and be prepared. You know, when you go to the class, you must be organized. You must be well prepared, because you know you are supposed to have your lesson plans, your class must be organized, your files must be organized. Teach yourself to be organized. It will be easy for you to teach in class. Effective time management is key. You are not supposed to go to the class late. If you know that from 8 o'clock you are supposed to be in class, and for 30 minutes, you make it a point that you do that. That will be effective time management. And make it a point that you have lesson plans and classroom organization are the essential for successful teaching. Make sure you are well prepared for each lesson and can adapt to changing circumstances. Colleagues, what is important? You must be well prepared. The issue of educators who will go to the class and come up with stories is those who are not well organized, is those who don't have lesson plans. Have those things and make it a point that, above all, take care of yourself. Next, love yourself. Your health is very much important, because you will be expected to teach the learners. You must take care of yourself. Of course, this job you'll be faced with a lot of challenges as a teacher. Sometimes you have a challenge of heavy workload and curriculum demands. You must be ready for that. Emotional strain from addressing learners' needs. Because in the class, you will have the high flyers, you'll have those that are slow, and you need to make it a point that you teach all of them. It can sometimes drain you. Of course, you can sometimes have pressure from parents, guardians, and the community, because you'll be meeting with them. As long as there are people, there will be challenges. And be ready for that. Limited recognition and appreciation for your efforts. You will work hard. Sometimes even your DH, even your deputy principal, even your principal cannot say that you are doing great. That can affect you. But be ready for that. Teaching is rewarding, but also demanding, of course. And you must be ready for that demand. And don't expect to be rewarded all the times, because sometimes you can do good things, but we don't reward you. Learners come rounds and sometimes heavy challenges, and you must be ready to solve those challenges. Occasional feelings of fatigue and under appreciation are natural. Colleagues, let me tell you this. Next, you are a teacher. The issue of fatigue, it's a must if you are working very hard. Make it a point that you train, you drink a lot of water. Sometimes even if you don't go out and train, you walk, because you have those challenges. And when you have problems, make it a point that you share with others. This is the reason why I'm saying it's very much important for you to build a supportive teacher network, support system. You are not alone in this journey. This is very much important. The person who's talking here, I started being like you, being a CS1 educator. And I was promoted and became the departmental head. I was promoted, I became the deputy principal. I was promoted and became the principal of a P3 school, promoted principal of a P4, and ended up principal of a P5. Then I became a circuit manager. I saw it in my journey that You cannot be alone. You'll be with the people. But what is important, be willing to network with others. The support systems will be there from your departmental head, from your deputy, from your principals. But the problem is, if you associate yourself with bad people, you'll end up not realizing that the SMT is there, school management team. Those people are like parents to you. If you have challenges, go to them. Of course, the SMT will assist you to navigate in this journey. Don't hesitate to reach out to your supervisors, colleagues, and mentors for guidance and support. You know, if you associate yourself with bad people, they will tell you, don't talk to them. You know, they know nothing. Let me tell you today, because I've been through all those ranks, I know they know. They know. And if you go closer to them, you'll learn a lot. You'll gain. The reason why I was promoted, today I'm a second manager, is because I was willing to work with the people. If you are not willing, you won't grow. Establish peer mentoring and buddy system. And the issue of peer mentoring, look at the people who are those who will be your peers that you think they will mentor you. You cannot go to the person who is always absent at school, who doesn't respect authority, and you say that person is going to be your mentor. You won't gain anything. Share teaching strategies, resources, and best practices. Celebrate small victories together to maintain motivation. You are supposed to motivate yourself. Learn on colleagues, school leadership, and education support structures. You share ideas, support each other, and grow together. Next, it's very much important to have the support system, the people who will make you to be who you are. If you associate with the good people, believe me, you will go far. And the impact of students' lives. This is very much important. As a teacher, you have the power to inspire, to motivate, and empower your students to reach their full potential. Then you mind your language. As a teacher, you are not supposed to say, as an educator, to some of the learners who are not performing well, you tell them that you are very bad, you cannot make it. No, 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 no. You must inspire them. Even those that you can see that they are weak, that you can. You need more time to study. If you can study, believe me, you will be the best. And let me tell you the truth, they can be the best as long as you are there supporting them. Using differentiated teaching method, because there are those who are very slow. Accept them and allow them to be slow, but work with them. This is the reason why we talk about differentiated teaching method, wherein those who are fast, it's okay, you must support them. But those who are slow, you must be there, allowing them to reach where they want to reach. But what is key? The spirit of inspiring is very much important. The spirit of motivating, you must motivate the learners. Your dedication and passion can make a lasting impact on the lives, shaping the future and contribution to the betterment of our society. Next. The issue of sustaining the spark, self-care practices is key. This job is tiring. I mean, being an educator. Prioritize rest and work-life balance. Balance. Work very hard. Be hands-on. But at the same time, you must rest. You must maintain the physical wellness. That is also very much important. What do you eat? How do you eat? How do you sleep? For how long? And the issue of nurturing emotional wellness. The issue of practice journaling, meditation, reflection, or prayer to manage stress. Important. Emotions can affect you in a bad way and you end up having stress and depression. You know, when you work with people, don't bring personally. I always tell people, if you can make mistakes and other people accept you and welcome your mistakes, also be ready to understand the mistakes of others. Not that you always want to be sorry, but when people say sorry to you, it's like you don't want to accept that. It will kill you. Engage in the continuous professional growth. Keep learning to stay inspired, skilled, and adaptable. You cannot believe it. If today I'm a doctor, for all the before becoming the doctor, you know that I have degrees, I have honors, I have masters, and a lot of certificates. Why? Because I told myself that I must keep on learning, and you can do it. It doesn't matter. I mean, the issue of age doesn't matter, but you can start now and learn. And at the end of the day, today, I think I'm talking to other doctors, the professors, those who are going to hold the masters, the honors, and all other degrees. It's very much important. You must be willing to learn, and it must be continuous. Build supportive relationship. Connect with colleagues, mentors, and peers to share experiences and seek guidance. Sometimes you'll think that you have a problem, but believe me, the others had those problems and they solved them, and they can assist you. And you must remember your purpose. Why did you become a teacher? Knowing the impact you may sustain motivation and passion. Colleagues, there is no way we teach learners so that they must pass. If learners are not passing, you haven't achieved the purpose of your teaching. Make it a point that you be ready to go to extra lessons with the learners. Be patient with the learners. Next. This job is very good. And in conclusion, sustaining the spark of a newly appointed educator is not just about surviving the classroom. It is about thriving, growing, and inspiring. Teaching is a journey that demands passion. There is no way that you can be a good teacher if you doesn't have passion. Passion is very much important. Resilience and constant renewal. By practicing self-care, seeking peer support, building strong networks, and celebrating every achievement, teachers can keep the light burning brightly all the time. You know what I always say? You brighten the corner where you are. And whoever is listening today, I'm saying, make it a point that the subject that you are teaching, learners are excelling. There is no way that you must be happy if you are not producing distinctions. Work hard, be hands-on. We must always remember, and you must always remember, that a motivated teacher inspires motivated learners. When we nurture ourselves, we not only sustain our spark, but also ignite hope and the possibility in every child we teach. Together, let's commit to keeping the flame of teaching alive today, tomorrow, and for the years ahead. Next. And in conclusion, I just want to quote these two people that I love, Alexandra K. Trenfor. Close quote, open quote, the best teachers are those who show you where to look, but don't tell you what to see, close quote. And this is what I'm telling you. Show the learners where to look, but don't tell them what to see, because they will, you know what, they are going to surprise you. They have knowledge, these learners, and be ready to learn from them also. Don't tell them that I know better than you. They know better than you, only that they don't have space to say it. And the last quote will be from Brad Henry, open quote, a good teacher can inspire hope, ignite the imagination, and instill a love of learning, close quote. You are going to meet learners who are coming from well-to-do families, those who are coming from poor families. Some have been abused. They need your love. Even if we come from our families being stressed, having a lot of challenges, but be willing to open your hands so can know that they trust you and you are going to support you. Let me tell you, today you are making history. I've been a teacher. I am where I am today because I told myself that I want to change the country. I want to be hands-on. I want to work hard. Don't associate with people who are lazy. You won't gain anything. Respect is very much important. Learn from those whom we say they're your leaders. Believe me, you won't lose anything, but you'll gain. Thank you. I love you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Signosi. That was amazingly insightful. So, ladies and gentlemen, I think what would be proper now is to go, as the French would say, en réplique. So, I would just like to, we've heard so many wonderful things from both our speakers. Just like to do a quick summary, and that is the one thing that I found that is central to both these speakers is professionalism and integrity. Sean gave us many wonderful practical tips, especially on discipline, which I think is the most important starting point. You can go nowhere in a class, and as a matter of fact, anywhere in the world without discipline. And the one thing that Sean said that I also thought was very important is that he adapted and he shaped his strategies according to what he thought he was doing good and maybe not so well. And I've often maintained that, we should not look so hard at the things that we're doing wrong that we forget to look at the things that we're doing right. The other thing that was quite clear, and they both mentioned it in so many words, is respect. Sean said that you must never be in a position where you are afraid to say the things in front of parents that you say in front of kids. And Dr. Senyosi said exactly the same thing. Dr. Senyosi also pointed to the fact that we should really look after ourselves, and we must remember that we are the nation builders. We are the final bastion, as they say, and we need to spend a lot of time on ourselves, lifelong learning, keeping healthy, that sort of thing is very important. And she also referred, Dr. Senyosi also referred to the small victories. Now, I address people on the principles of success, both in education and in the corporate world. And I always maintain that the first principle is develop a mindset of success. And your mindset of success must not be based on money or on one specific thing that you're focusing on. And so it must be centering around things such as if you had a good conversation with your own children, with your wife, or you did something good, in your job toward other people, then that is an absolute marker of success. Thank you very much for listening so far, everybody. We will now be moving over to the Q&A session. And Sean, I'd like to start with you. And I have the following question for you. What role do you think school leadership can play in creating a culture where teachers feel valued, supported, and inspired enough to stay in the profession?
Thank you, Derek. Yes, I'm going to touch on two things. The one thing is that school management, for me, must give my educators the time and tools that they need to perform. So, say, for example, the educator needs assistance with, for example, discipline or classroom management. I must then step in and give, as a manager of the school, equip the educator with the tools and give time for the educator to use the tools. So these are the two things which I think which is key when it comes to school management. And then, of course, the other side of the coin, which we don't like to speak about, and is the third one, is my final one, is when we come to consequent management. In order for me to keep the spark, I see my other educators getting away with murder, basically at school, coming late and so on. Then, if managers don't do that, more teachers are joining that. So that side, as a manager, consequent management must be followed. And then that will keep the spark to the teachers who are enjoying what they are doing. And because remember, when I'm teaching in a school and I'm doing what I'm supposed to do, and I've experienced it in all three schools over the 30 years, what my colleague does next door to my classroom affects me directly. So that's where I say the third part is not a good part to speak on, but I want to see that consequent management has been followed and that I need to be protected as an educator with a spark working from educators who are not doing what they're supposed to do, and it affects me directly. Thank you, Derek.
Thank you, Sean. And then to Dr. Senyosi, you yourself referred to the fact that education can be emotionally demanding, and you did give us a couple of pointers there. But I want to ask you the following: what practical sort of self-care or peer support practices, which you refer to, practical things, can help teachers to protect their well-being and, as a matter of fact, avoid the burnout that you referred to?
Thank you very much. The problem, when we talk about emotionally being drained, this starts by not being well prepared. That's the first thing. If an educator is not well prepared for the job, believe me, the job will be very much stressed. And another thing that can make the educator not to like the job is the issue of not wanting to be hands-on and bad association. I've said that I've been in all the levels. I've realized that if you find out that people is a person is associated with the people that are lazy, that person become lazy. And if you are saying we need 5 informal tasks per week, it will be very difficult for that educator, because the educator will go to the class late. And instead of being in the class for 30 minutes, the educator will be in the class for 20 minutes. It means insufficient written work, and there is no way. Like what Shion was saying, it leads to consequence management. That person will always be in meetings, because the leadership of the school, they're going to call that person and say, you know what, we want you, you must come and account. It makes an educator to be stressed. And the issue of willingness to do the job. I've been a teacher for almost 12 years before I was promoted. Even if you have 40 periods and that lazy educator has only 20, that person can be drained if the person is not willing to work. If the person is not associated, or is especially if it's not willing to work, and the relationship, the peers that are there, he's associating himself or herself with the people that are, most of the time they'll spend not preparing for the work, complaining. Then to avoid that, the educators must be well prepared to work and be hands-on and be associated with the people who are willing to work. That will solve all those problems that I was saying. This job can be, can stress you sometimes. The people who are overworking, stressed, because they have passion for the job. We cannot be like those people. It's like now we have decided to be teachers because I wanted to be a doctor and I didn't manage to go to the school and end up being a doctor. Then I was forced to be a teacher. We must not do that, even if we are forced to be teachers. But now we must have passion and be hands-on. Believe me, we cannot have any problem. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Sinyosi. Now, I have a question to pose to the both of you, and it's the following. A friend of mine always used to say, now he was an English teacher, so he did everything in terms of Shakespearean quotes. He always used to say that when he got up and walked to school in the morning, it was a case of once more into the breach, dear friends. But when he trudged home, at the end of the day, it was a case of how the mighty have fallen in the midst of the battle. So many teachers start off the year being energized, and raring to go. What strategies from the both of you have you seen work best to sustain this sort of teacher motivation? And Sean, let's start off with you.
Thank you, Derek. Yes, I'll share my experiences with you from term 1 to term 4. What I like about term one is fresh beginnings. You've got your new classes, you've got your new rules, you've got your different sports which I participated. Like in term 1, I had my cricket, I had my rowing, those type of things. So I wouldn't see my year as linear. I always saw my year as circular. And within my circular is that, so when I'm in term 1, I would do my rules, I would do all my things. Now then it gets to term 2. Now I'm from Gauteng, and it becomes winter in term 2. So in term 2, when it becomes very cold, learners are starting to get stressed. They get used to you. You start losing some of them along the line. But what happens is that the sports and my extracurricular activities assisted me in getting that extra spark and that Watson. So in my second term, I did my soccer, I did my rugby, and that's how we would run my extramurals. Once we run to term 3, I love track events. I've got my learners, and throughout my year with my sports, I always work with different types of learners. So at the beginning of the year, you have a different type, and every sports code has a different type. And all that sports came into my classroom as well. So I was looking forward to my term 3. Okay, my rugby season is fine. My soccer season, the matches over Saturdays, we worked with it. And then in term 3, it was track events. We used to challenge teachers at school to 100-meter sprint. Our learners knew that we are going to have a 100-meter sprint. And the reason for that is in class, I would know my mathematics, and I should know more. So when we get into the sports field and I challenge my learners, I also get tired. I'm human. Sometimes I win, sometimes I lose, but sometimes we cheat and we move on. Then, of course, we move over to your term 4. Term 4, our what's name starts again, our rowing season starts again. So every term, how I kept the spark alive was to stay more at school for extramural activities and not just for teaching. And once I've seen my year as circular and not as a straight line because it repeats itself. And every year, January is the same, Watson is the same. I remember speaking to a grade 1 teacher before grade R came. So grade 1 was the first grade learners. They would have techies on day 1. And I would ask them, why would you have techies on? They said, no, it's for the runners. Because when learners drop, they've adopted the runners, they run and so on. And as you get to the end of the year, you start getting sad because you have to say goodbye to this class and a new class will come in. So in order for me to have kept the spark, I was totally involved in the school culture, in the school, and in the teaching aspect itself. So I've never seen my year as linear. I've always seen my year as circular. Thank you, Derek.
Thank you, Sean. No, I can easily identify with this challenging the learners to a 100-meter sprint as long as I can have a bicycle in the process. But Dr. Signosi, some strategies from your side. How would you answer the question? Is Dr. Signosi still there? There you go. Dr. Signosi?
I'm still here. I was having a challenge of network.
Great.
I was listening to Sion what he was saying, but to add in what he was saying is that another thing that is very much important is the issue of SMT development, which the educators that are here, they cannot do anything. Because the issue of teachers being discouraged, there is need for teacher development. And you know what? If you are a teacher, you cannot do that yourself. There is need for that. What Sion was talking about, the issue of making it a point that there are a lot of sports activities and whatever is very much important. I'm not going to repeat that. But another thing which I must say is that sometimes teachers can be discouraged because of the performance of the learners. And we are here talking to you, saying that, you know what, the issue of the ups and downs, wherein you find out that you are teaching very hard and learners are not performing, it's not in your class only. That must not discourage you. That must encourage you to give you time, more time, to analyze the results of your learners, to profile your learners, to make it a point that you come up with different types of teaching, differentiated teaching. You are not supposed to be discouraged by that because nobody is going to assist you to get out of that. Because believe me, if you can interview these educators one by one, they will say, I'm going all out. I'm doing this and that, but I am not making it. You will make it as long as you are hands-on and you are working hard. This is another thing, except what Sean have said, because I don't want to repeat that. You must know that if learners are not achieving as expected, you must be hands-on and make it a point that they work hard, and you give them enough written work. You give them enough weekly tests, and keep yourself busy. Because if we become discouraged, believe me, we cannot make it as teachers. Because we must always remember that we are teaching learners who know nothing. In other words, I am also accountable if learners are not performing. I must make them to know new things, to learn new things, and I must be hands-on. I don't want to repeat what he said, but it's very much important. The issue of attending workshops, sharing good practice with others, it will assist you. And you won't be tired. You won't be frustrated. You will be encouraged to work very hard. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Senyosi. The one thing, of course, which is very important, and both of you have mentioned it along the line there, is to be extremely prepared. You know, you can't really maintain discipline in the classroom if you're not prepared to have the learners work flat out for the whole time, and you yourself being involved in that as well. And yeah, of course, during COVID, our school's motto was the following: to survive is not enough for me, to thrive is where I want to be. And I think this is sort of what the focus should be. And I also think both of you mentioned a number of things which are important, and that is, you know, the teachers who are not involved with the school, they are the first to become unhappy. The guys who are involved, not necessarily with sports, but you know, with arrangements and as you said now, peer coaching and so on. Those are the guys who sort of always survive. I'd like to ask you the next question. We did discuss this briefly in our preparation, and that is, I think what we all have to contend with, never mind what your post level is, and never mind where you are in South Africa, is an absolute numbing pressure of administrative work. You know, departments are forever flooding schools with little forms to be filled in here and there. How do you think we should approach that? And Dr. Senyosi, I think we can start with you first here. How do you think we should approach that, you know, the reams and reams of paper that we have to work through and fill in as we're going along?
There are some of the things that are systematic challenges. I mean, there are things that if today we are meeting these newly appointed educators and they start complaining about administration and whatever, there is nothing that they can solve, because the people are supposed to solve these problems are there nationally, and we cannot solve these problems. They must adjust. I mean, we did that. Here we are today. I'm saying I'm a second manager. I've been through all those things, and they cannot solve it. Whatever you cannot solve, you adjust yourself and make it a point that you deal with that. Because even if these newly appointed educators can say, there are a lot of administration, there are a lot of what, there is nothing that they can do. Adjust. Rather than complaining, you don't start by complaining, you comply and do your job. And they will be solving those problems, because those are some of the things that will challenge you. They'll weigh them down. And instead of focusing, they keep on complaining. It's not going to solve their problem. Do your job. If you know what you're supposed to do, and if you think you know other ways that can solve some of the challenges, assist your SMT members. You know, when I was still a CS1, let me tell you the truth. You know those type of the people that will say they're fast forward, wapapa. Because I remember when my principal will be in the office, when I find the circulars, I'll say, give me, I'll read for you. Being a CS1, and I'll read for him. No, your office is not clean. Allow me to cover all your files. And I did that being a CS1. Then these people have some of the strategies that can assist in their schools. If your SMT, your principal is willing, and some of the SMT members are willing, assist them. Don't say, I'm a CS1, I cannot do anything. No, go and assist them. They will be willing. And you can solve some of the challenges that they cannot solve. What about if you go to your school, you realize that your principal cannot even open a laptop. It can happen even today, especially in the deep rural areas. Be there, assist. You'll solve some of the problems that we cannot solve now. Because really, even today, there are a lot of seculars, there are a lot of this and that and that and that. There is nothing that we can do. We are waiting for the department to come up with the new strategies. But before they do that, we must be working, not complaining. Thank you.
Thank you. I like that one, complied and compliant. Sean, time seems to be catching up with us. Just briefly from your side, your opinion on the problem that I mentioned, and then also from your side, Sean, if you could just maybe in one sentence, just a last inspiring piece of advice to give to all our listeners out there.
No, thank you, Derek. To me, what has kept me through all the years, which is keeping me through today, is that I've always realized and maintained that those learners I'm teaching become adults. And because we live in the same community, those adults, they speak to you. And in my last sentence is that because I treated them as human, they are teachers today, and some of them are maybe on the platform. And what happens is that when they come back to you years later and say, thank you very much, sir. You have assisted me with my life, and that is payment enough. And what I maintain is that they are not going to be children for life. They become the adults that will speak to you, and it's our job to look after them. And that is what is a teacher. Thank you, Derek.
Brilliant. Thank you, Sean. Thank you, Dr. Signosi. Well, just to wrap up, I would just also like to thank Jen Stradom and the team from EQ for this whole afternoon session. And Dr. Signosi, from your side,
Yes, I
maybe
want
a last
to
word?
say something. How
Yes.
can we finish today not saying that to all that are appointed being teachers, don't forget, corporal punishment is a dismissal offense.
Yes.
Don't do that. And the Bella Act is very strict now. Even whatever you say can be regarded as a corporal punishment. It's not only beating. Mind your language, the way you do things. Don't be short-tempered. You can be dismissed. Today we are celebrating that you have been appointed. Tomorrow we can cry. And we said a lot of things, but above all, don't forget that if you overreact, you become short-tempered, you can be dismissed. And we don't want that. Don't go there. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you, Dr. Signosi. Ladies and gentlemen, in closing, just always remember the following. As tough as it might get, remember that it is a massive privilege that one has to be a part of the development of somebody else and to know that you have been entrusted with that task. Nobody else in this world has that one. Thank you very much. This is Derek signing off, and good luck for the rest of the year.